I'm Nick Cipolla. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Blueprint. Today's guest is my good friend Shane Dykman. Shane is the founder, owner of Sagtown Coffee in Sag Harbor. If you go to Sag Harbor and you don't go to Sagtown, you're not part of the in crowd, frankly. Okay. It's located right at the Jitney stop. So when you get off, or if you're going to get on, you have to go in. And it's its own little enclave right down the brick alleyway. And it's amazing. And he has his retail shop in the front. You walk down the alleyway, and there you are. But we're going to start with the first question, which is what brought you to the Hamptons?
Okay. Well, good afternoon, Nick. Thank you for having me. I
Thanks for coming.
appreciate you including me in this project. Um, so I was born in Port Jefferson on Long Island on the
Mm.
North Shore. When my parents were together, we lived in Belterre in Port Jeff. And my parents split, and my mom took whatever money she had from that, and she bought a hair salon in Southampton Village. My father was a hairdresser. He had hair salons all over the island called Family Affair
I
Haircut.
remember it well.
For the best head you've ever
I
had
remember the logo.
was his
Yes.
tagline.
Wasn't he a Robert Plant lookalike as well?
Yeah, he looks like Robert Plant. I just saw him the other day. He's like 78 years old and
God bless.
still cutting hair. He looks pretty good.
Good.
Yeah, so it was nice to see him. But my mom managed one of his stores in Bayshore. It was like an old hamburger stand. It was right off of 27. And so the only thing she knew was the hair business. So she put herself through beauty school, and then she bought this little salon on the corner of 27 and Hampton Road, right where the road bends. There used to be an old Carvel there next door, Dr. Cott's there.
Right on
So
that corner?
yeah, right on
Okay.
that corner. She moved me to Hampton Bays. We rented a little house on Kyle Road, and I started eighth grade in Hampton Bays.
Okay.
So I've been out here ever since. I've
Oh,
traveled the world
that's good.
surfing. I've been all over. I lived in England, and I lived on the West Coast in California. My sister lives in South Orange County, and I moved out there, and I was there for a couple years. And my mom came to visit, and barely recognized her getting off the airplane.
How long had it been since you'd seen her?
It was like over a year, but she was all alone out here and in Hampton Bays, and she had her business, which that was her life. But I was told my sister after I saw her from that trip, I was like, I gotta go back home. I gotta be near her and look
Mhm.
after her. So when you're 18 years old, you move to the West Coast. I'm never coming back. That's it. But I came back to take care of her,
Right.
and
And I know that you did that to the very end. I was,
right to the
yeah,
very
yeah.
end. Yes, that's how I ended up out here.
Well, that's interesting story. And is it that same house that you bought?
No. So when I graduated high school, my mom bought herself a little cottage on Lynn Avenue in Hampton Bays.
I know it well.
It's called Seascape Shores. There's 9 little salt boxes, all individual houses. And she bought one of those. And when she passed away, she had a reverse mortgage going. And so I was fortunate enough. I had some money saved, and I bought that house. Um, so the bank didn't come and get
Yeah,
it.
it was like a
And
year and a half ago, right?
it was actually 3 years ago
Oh,
already.
seriously?
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. How did you get your start here? So you came here and you started doing what, and then what made you get into, the business that you're in right now?
Okay, so when I moved to Hampton Bays, I would ride my bicycle to school, and I had BMX or whatever, a cool one.
Did you have a sissy bar or that?
No, no,
No, I'm
I
old
just,
school.
I was,
Banana seat
back
sissy bar.
then, like, kids rode bikes and things. So I was the new kid in Hampton Bays, and somebody stole my bike first week.
Oh, there you go.
I needed to buy a new bike. And so I went down to, it was in the summer, right before the summer, my bike got stolen. And I went down to, it was called the Deck Restaurant. Now it's Oakland's, and next door is Sundays. I
Right. So
believe it was
it's right
Sundays.
by Gillette.
Yeah, it was the original Deck. And I lied to him. I told him I was 13 so I could start dishwashing, and got a job there so I could buy a bike and a surfboard, as it turns out. And so I was always in the restaurant business, and then I moved over to Indian Cove because they were open in the winter. And then I was in Southampton for many years, from like 17 to 30. I worked for these couple guys, an Irishman and a Frenchman. They own Le Chef Bistro right in Southampton Village, and then one of the partners bought the Indian Cove in Hampton Bays. So I actually went back as started there as a dishwasher, and then went back there to run it and operate it for him. And I did all the renovations for them with my brother-in-law, painted, sanded
You
all
did
the
the work.
beams, yeah. And then I ran that. So I always had this restaurant background. And then it became a point where you sort of price out, right? You can only make so much working for somebody.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I was doing well, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I had from those guys. And so I just needed to make more money, and I started those surf camps. It was called Flying Point Surf
I
Schools.
remember my kids went.
Yep, your
It was
kids.
great.
That's how. Yeah, that's how.
You were like the Pied Piper out there.
Yeah,
You'd be out there, and
yeah,
I'd come on the beach. I knew where you were because I would hear you yelling. It was a
screaming.
great
Yeah,
time.
yeah. It was like the Bad News Bears. So my a friend of mine had a surf camp in West Hampton, and I helped him out one day. And I was like, wow, he's on to something here. So I started one in Southampton. And then I ran and then opened up another one in Sagaponic, and then I branched out and I started doing a fish camp. So I had a couple of charter boats involved with that.
Hmm.
It was quite an operation for, the 12 weeks of summer. I would do, 75 kids a day and have 35 at one beach, 35 another. And it was a different time though. Surfing was really on the uptick. It kind of surfing goes cyclical, right? Sometimes it's real hot and then it fades away and it comes back.
Hmm.
It's always done that over the decades that it's been around. 60s were good and then 70s kind of fell off. The 80s came back with the bright colors, and
Hmm.
so it kind of does that. And now it got so saturated out here with summer camps, pony camp, I camp, tennis camp, whatever. It's
Right. 'Cause
camps
everybody
everywhere.
needs to occupy their kids now because they don't go out on that bike.
Right. And then all the guys that worked for me and I trained all them, they were with me for so many years because this thing was running for so long. Everybody wants a shot. So they open up their own camps. Next thing you know, there's 5 camps within a mile of me, and everybody's fighting for the same 12 kids. And it was time for me to hang my hat up.
Right. Now you were doing surf camp while you were doing Sagtown.
Yeah,
So,
at one point I had 128 employees. I had like a summer pop-up Sagtown in Montauk.
right.
I had the original Sagtown. So I also had a restaurant in East Hampton with a business partner called the Service Station, which was the old Nichols. So like I said, I had 128 employees, and it was crazy. It was just like kind of everything was eating itself. There wasn't
Right.
much profit going on. So I trimmed all the fat, focused on what I wanted to keep, and I knew Sagtown was always my like baby. I knew I hope to keep that business for forever, to
Hmm.
be quite honest, and because I enjoy doing it, and the surf camp also, I had so much pride with that because that came from one surf lesson. I built it up. So I sold everything off and kept the winners. I kept the surf camp and Sagtown, and I sold everything off and focused my attention on that, and really downsized everything in my life. Anything that I didn't need, I got rid of and sort of started over because I also got divorced at the time, and had to start over. And my plan really worked. I got out of all the bad situations. Not that they were bad. It was too much.
Right. Sometimes when I see that in my own business, like you get bigger, but then your expenses go up, your insurance goes up and everything
Everything.
else, and you wind up making, the same or less money
Right.
if you're bigger.
Right.
So let's talk about Sagtown for a second. How
Yeah.
long has Sagtown been in that location?
I opened in 2012, spring of 2012.
Okay.
So how that came about was my ex-wife had a retail clothing store, currently where Leonard Frisbee is.
Okay.
And
Across the
then,
alleyway.
yeah, and then we expanded to the front store, what is currently my retail store.
Okay. So across the,
So we had 2 stores in there, and we
Mhm.
became very friendly with the landlord, Bruce Sloven.
Right.
Great man. He passed recently.
Now
Great,
his
great guy.
his daughter Karen runs it. She's my client.
Yes. So that's like I
Yeah.
think one of her favorite properties.
And then it burned down and I rebuilt it.
Correct.
And that's how we got to know each other.
Right.
Yeah.
First time I met, I mean, I've known your wife from Southampton in the 90s,
Right.
and and I always saw you around, but we never really spoke.
Right.
You know what I
I
mean?
thought you were an asshole.
Right. I mean, most people.
Because I heard stories about you. I was like, yeah, he's an asshole.
I mean, that's the default. I mean, that's the general opinion, and then people say they get to know me, like, he's not bad.
And now I
guy,"
can see you're one of my close friends.
It's
We do holidays together. I
yeah.
mean,
I just, you know what it is? It's just I don't give a damn.
yes,
You
it
know,
comes true.
and it's like I have to do what I have to do, and nobody's stopping
Right.
me.
And you don't pull any punches and
No,
you know,
I try to, the older I get now, I just want to help people, really, people that mean something to me.
mhm.
I mean, because in the end, it really doesn't matter, right? You can look back and say,
Yeah.
how have you helped somebody,
And
really?
try to do the right thing by
And just
people.
do the best thing you can.
So speaking of doing the right thing by people and just items, one of my favorite stories about when the building burned down. So you were in the fire department
Yes.
and they were fighting the fire, and it was like the coldest day of the year, and ice was everybody everywhere. But somebody ran into the burning building and saved the espresso machine. Oh, that was you.
Yeah, and
Why don't you tell us that
and
story?
one of my most prized surfboards. I have this vintage, which I stole from my roommate years ago. Ricky Rasmussen is like like one of a pioneer of surfing, and he was from West Hampton. He was a board shaper, so I had that in the coffee shop, and I had just gotten a brand new espresso machine where they cost about as much as a car, right? Small car,
Right,
30 grand for the one that I have.
right.
I was living across the street, renting an apartment. Was right when I got divorced, and my staff's calling me. We had our Sagtown Christmas party the night before, and we all were at Murph's, the little dive bar in Sag Harbor,
Absolutely, yeah.
and we were there all night. And literally, like 3 hours later from getting in, I got a call. There's smoke in the store. Should we be concerned? And then I look out the window, and it's just full on fire. So I'm in the fire department. I'm actually a captain now in the Sag Harbor Fire Department. And I ran in there with my gear. I had my, I'm trained in that. So going in a burning building is not unfamiliar to me.
Right.
Volunteering is something else entirely. It takes a lot more time than you think. Anyway, I ran in there, and the first thing I wanted was that surfboard, because it was like this guy's like a brother to me, and he knows I have the board, and he knows I'm not going to give it back, but it's kind of his, so I couldn't let this thing melt. So I grabbed that first, and then I ran into the hardware store and got a tarp and a bungee, and I covered, because it could get wet. I mean, I go in fires, like everything's just going to be wet,
Right.
right? And the thing's always hot anyway, so heat's not going to affect those. So I was able to cover that machine and salvage that in the surfboard. The rest of it was demolished.
Yeah, I'm surprised it lasted, it being in that building, because when I rebuilt it, it was a mess. Like
Well, I pulled it out that day.
oh, you got it out
Yeah, I
that day.
disconnected
Yeah.
and pulled it out right, like while it was still smoldering,
Mhm.
but everything else was melted.
So tell me something. What is your favorite part about running the store? And I know it's tough, especially during the summer, you know?
Well, the summer's my favorite because it's so busy, and it's just you're just banging them. There's no time to think, and
My
it's
son's been
chaos.
working there since he's 13, and he said the people are a nightmare.
Uh,
It's like the line to the sidewalk,
yeah, we get nice long
and that's
lines.
your favorite part.
I have to have a small army. I have like 16 people running on those days.
Mhm.
The problem is with my business and the New York clientele is that they need immediate results. The magic number is like 8 minutes. If somebody has to wait 11, then they start to get
Dude, I won't even
complaints.
wait 2. And
Right.
I will definitely use the fact that we're friends, and I will go around the edge and say,
Yeah.
coffee, and I'll pay you
Yeah.
later,
Right.
you know?
But it has become a like scene now. Like that's part of the attraction is to wait in line. I don't know. They're like hanging out in selfies for their social media, and they're like, it's like a whole vibe going on there. So I crank the music up, and we get after it.
Well, let's talk about that vibe that you created. So now what you're doing is you started an after hours thing.
Right.
Say the word, because
Après. It's
après.
it's French for after, right?
Okay.
They have like the après ski. After skiing, they throw these parties, and I was actually in St. Bart's with one of my clients, Larry Spiegelfogel. He owns
Bamboo
Bamboo
rolling
Rolling
papers.
Papers.
Cool guy. I love
He's
Larry.
really fun.
Yep.
He and his wife, they rent a house in St. Bart's for 2 months every winter, and they give me the pool house for 1 week out of that.
Right.
So they take me all these cool hip spots, and I'm like watching this, and I was like, could do something like this after hours at the coffee shop. I always wanted to. Sag Harbor's so busy at night too.
It
Just
really is.
and I would stay open, but nobody's coming in for coffee or a smoothie. Then I brought in gelato, but there's like Buddha berry. There's tons of places to get ice cream, and nobody would come up. So I put in for the beer and wine license, and we finally have a business-friendly administration in Sag Harbor, which it
Mhm.
was not for many, many years.
Absolutely.
And I had my issues with them. And so now we have a business-forward administration, and they approved my liquor license, beer and wine. I have beer and wine, and so now I have a draw, and we do these small plates, and I turn it into like a sexy candlelit wine bar lounge. It's getting better too as we're doing it. We opened in Thanksgiving, so I'm hoping it hits this summer.
I'm sure it's going to hit the summer. You
Can
know,
only hope.
listen, it's been great so far. It got you through the short part of the winter that you've had, right?
Yeah,
You're
it
not
was a
losing
it's
money,
really, you don't have to commit to going to a restaurant, spend $150 a head, or it's busy. And what also is happening now is the restaurants get so busy and the bars are full. There's nowhere to go to wait for your table, and there's
right?
an hour wait. So they're coming over to
Right.
me and having a
I
glass
was
of
there the
wine
other
and
night, and
celery.
there was a birthday party happening,
Yeah,
right?
we had about 10 girls in there
Right, and
hanging.
you stayed open late just to be
Stayed open late for
till
them.
Danny started flicking the lights, right?
Danny's, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So how'd you come up with the aesthetic for in there? Because I built the
Uh,
building. I didn't build the inside out. I think I was too expensive. You
well, no, I like do kind of, yeah. And the price, I had no money at that time anyway to do it, but I sort of just kind of wing it, and that's how I like do my kind of renovations, like
right?
my house myself, and I kind of just see how it goes. I'll take a small piece, like I salvage the tables. I have these big, thick oak tables with steel beams. So I'm like, we'll keep those. And then I sort of built it around it. I always loved barnwood. My first original shop was really like gritty and wood. I had these big lions. I had these Bernese lions flanking the bar. It was like over the top. And then I wanted a more clean aesthetic, sort of not modern, but because I was bringing in more food. And at the time, like everybody was doing shiplap. So I threw some shiplap up, and then I'm like, oh, that looks good. And then somebody had a pile of barnwood, and I put it there. So if you really look, it's a little bit of a mishmash, but it like
It's kind of cool
works.
though.
It kind of works.
And your recent renovation, where you turned it into the after hours place,
Yeah, right.
technically, and you did the countertops and all.
So yeah, I have a buddy who did all my cabinets.
Deerfield Millwork.
Yeah, Keith Dutcher, great craftsman, and he did my kitchen in my house. And I had actually the way that renovation last winter, it seems every winter I renovate part of that building. I don't know if every year I change
You
something
know,
there.
listen, I work on a lot of commercial properties, and
Mhm.
after the beating that our clients here in the Hamptons give to a commercial property, you have to do something in the way.
Right.
Always.
And then for me, people are always coming for me. Like everybody always wants to open a coffee shop, or you'll get somebody from New York, some hotshot will come and they see my lines and like, oh, people want a part of that. So every year I have a new player coming in, and I have to kind of pivot and make sure that I stay on top. And that's sort of like when you're doing a new play, right? And you got to rebuild the set, right? You're not going to use last play. You have to rebuild the set and set a new stage. So that's kind of my mentality with the
Hmm.
business. I want something fresh and just a little tweaking every year. And last year I did the clothing store where I was doing subleases, and I would like be selling other people's products, and then my t-shirts and hoodies were doing really good. And I'm like, I'm like snowboarding at a mountain, and I walk in their merch shop that's, snowbird, and stacks of it everywhere. And I'm like, why aren't I just selling my own merch?
Yeah.
So that's what I started doing, and it's worked out really well. So my point being, that renovation, I really like the look of what you've done in here. White oak,
Right.
that
You use a lot of wood.
yeah, I use a lot of
Yeah.
wood, but I really like that white oak natural look. So I did the front retail store with that. I get inspirations from looking through different businesses and stuff and take a piece here, a piece there. And now what I did this year is I brought that store and I kind of wrapped the bar with the same material around and put a crazy piece of stone. And it sort of works. I really like build and design. I love what you do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And you also have Alex Baranovich, architect, who
Yeah, he's helpful. He was my very first surf instructor. He was in high school.
really,
And then that kid put himself through college by teaching surfing.
yeah,
And his dad was a very well-known architect who passed, and he took the torch on, and
and he's right in our complex as well.
he's in our complex.
Yeah, yeah, great
Yeah.
guy. Let me ask you about your clientele. So I see a lot of people coming in and out of there. My office is right there. It used to be
Mhm.
downstairs. Now I'm next door, and I go in there, and you can always see somebody. I want to know who is your coolest client. Who's the one that when they walk
It's
in,
a layup, dude. You are, man.
you stop that. No, like when you walk in the door, like the
Right.
place gets quiet. Oh my God, who's that? Like I see a lot of people in and out. And Chris Cuomo hangs out there, which, frankly, when I first saw him coming there, that was back in the CNN days. I was like, oh, this guy's a jerk. And he turns out to be such a freaking nice guy.
Chris is great.
Dude,
He gets a bad
friggin',
rap,
like
but
he
he's
sits with all the old like Republicans and they all wanted to be a jerk to him and he
yeah,
just friendly with everyone, brings them in fish,
yeah.
he hangs out, just brings his old car, just a cool guy. So I would say he's the coolest one. I want to know who you think.
So Chris, I've known Chris since I'm 18 years old from Southampton. His wife was a very good friend of mine growing up. We were teenagers. We had a whole crew we would hang out with. And I've known Chris since he's been in college. That's when I met him. He used to frequent my bar that I worked at, Le Chef, and Southampton at the time was Southampton Village used to be the cool village. It was like Sag Harbor is now, and there
Yeah,
was all these bars.
East Hampton had that too, but
Yeah, and
now
then
it's
we
Sag
had,
Harbor.
all the bars, barristers, all the nightclubs were in Southampton, and it used to be really happening. And now it has moved to Montauk and Sag Harbor a little bit in a different way, not really a party place. But who's the coolest person? We get a lot of walks of life. I mean, I get the landscaper, lawnmower guy, the guy who's weed whacking for a landscape company all the way up to the billionaires,
Hmm.
And I treat everybody the same. I don't care who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Coolest,
See that? Tough question.
yeah, no. I don't really like to name drop or blow up any of my customers, but you know who's really cool, who you would never think, Jerry Seinfeld. He comes all the time.
I've been
He's
there all the
such
time. I've
a
never
nice
seen.
guy. So we always talk boats. He comes in with a friend of mine. He's pretty cool. Last summer Thor was in. I thought that was cool. What's his
How do you
name?
get through the door?
No, he's skinny, that guy.
Is it?
Yeah, you wouldn't think. I forget his name. You know who's really cool now? Is the Post House Girls. So the Post House is a new gym that's opened up in Sag
Okay.
Harbor over
Yep, I
there.
know.
And everyone's like, how can you make like a private gym like that? And it's become like the hottest thing out here. And we get these packs of women in there after class, like 10 to 18 of them, fit as a fiddle. I think they're pretty cool when they come
All right, I
in.
get it.
Yeah.
All right, so now listen, we've talked a lot about a lot of different things, and we're coming to a close. We do something at the end of this podcast called the lightning round. I'm just gonna fire up a couple questions to you, and you're gonna answer them as quick as you can.
Okay.
Because just like people watching this are obviously watch it because of the Hamptons,
Mhm.
right? So, they might be interested in what some of your favorite things are.
Okay, got it.
So we're gonna start with something that might be difficult, that might not. What's your favorite restaurant?
John Papa's.
Really? Wow. I love John Papa's.
Yeah.
Okay. Me and my brother-in-law Dom used to go there for breakfast
Yeah.
and lunch all the time. So
It's great.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
I have an
Uh,
addition to that was I went to Rooted in Montauk and I went there last night for dinner. That was excellent. I'll
Really?
be back. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
on my
I'm looking
radar.
forward to going there
Yeah.
myself. Let me tell you something about John Papa's. I know this is the lightning round, it's supposed to go quick, but I don't care. It's my podcast. I
Sure.
can say
Right,
what I want,
right.
right? I've been living out here for 31 years, and I did not know that John Papa's existed
Right.
until maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because, being from Up Island, um, you go to diners. Like there's
Yeah.
freaking diners. Well, we don't have any diners.
My
We had
old
one
man
diner and it got
took me
shut
to a
down.
diner every week my whole
I love diners, and John Papa's is a classic diner. Anyway, what's your favorite farm stand?
I like the little one on Sag Road before the schoolhouse on the east side of the road. I forget her name.
That's Thayer.
Thayer. Thank
Thayer.
you.
Yeah.
I like her farm stand.
Yeah. It's small, but they've been there forever.
It's great.
Yeah.
I was living around the corner from there, and I would love it. In the middle of winter, she'd have the Honest program for bundles of wood, and I had a
Right.
wood burning stove. And if I ran out, I could go over there and throw $5 in.
Yeah.
So I like that one.
Yeah. Thayer's been around a long time. What's your favorite seafood spot?
For dinner or to buy seafood?
Either. Say both.
Oh, isn't it odd that we don't have a lot of seafood and we're here? Everything's
I don't
so
know. Listen, even at the restaurants, they bring stuff in from the city. Like the sushi place, Sen, they bring stuff in from the city. We have Montauk right here,
right. I'm gonna say Sundays on the Bay down in the Hampton Bays.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, they have
I
great
don't know that
seafood.
one.
You're right there.
Okay. What is your favorite spot in the Hamptons? Like, you just want to, like, you want to get away from the hustle and bustle. Everybody's driving you crazy. You're pissed off. Where are you going?
Oh man, I like to go out on the boat. I got a couple little coves I slip into right
Okay.
in Sag Harbor, and like one cove over would be all the boats and yachts, and they got their toys out and their jet
Right.
skis, and I'm just tucked in over here.
Mhm.
Go
Right.
for a swim.
Nice.
One of the surf spots too, but they get crowded in the summer, so
Yeah.
I'd have to stay out on the boat.
Okay. So the next question, it might be, a similar answer. What's your perfect day in the Hamptons? So forget about you snuck out. You're taking the day off. What is your perfect day?
Perfect day would be to wake up, be at home,
What time?
I probably couldn't sleep past 7 if I tried, so
Either.
I couldn't.
No.
7 a.m., take the dog for a walk to my little bay beach, go for a quick surf at my favorite spot, little jetty, perfect little waves, come back, take the boat out, have a picnic, come back, have a barbecue, relax at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love being home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people take it, for granted. Like you can't do that because you're a busy shop.
Oh, God.
You're there early in the morning. You're there until the night. So it's very difficult for you. So listen, I just want to thank you for coming in. I love
My
hanging out with
pleasure.
you. We hang out
Thanks
a
for
lot,
having me.
and sitting down, talking about what you do and how you do it
Mhm.
and how you got there. I learned a few things about you. I didn't know. I didn't know you were born in Port Jeff, dude.
Yeah.
I built with my father. I was framing. I built all the freaking Danfords, all those
Yeah,
condos and
yeah,
shit. I
yeah.
built all that stuff. When
Yeah,
I was framing.
I was born in St. Charles. I went to Scraggy Hill Elementary.
Really?
Yeah,
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 that's amazing. So anyway,
yeah,
thanks for coming by. I really enjoyed talking to you, learning a lot about you, stuff I thought I knew you. And there's so
yeah.
many different things that I learned about you today. So thanks for coming. And I have to say, if you come into the Hamptons on the Hampton Jitney and you don't stop at Sagtown Coffee, or if you're leaving and you don't stop and get yourself on the bus, then you're not allowed back in the Hamptons.
If the line is long we were talking about, you can come around to the side where you pick up and say, I heard about you on the podcast, and I will take care of it.
That's what I'm talking about. You see what I mean?
Yeah,
This is the guy.
that's
Thanks.
what I'll do. You're
Love it,
welcome.
man.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
That was good.